If you're not listening to Pubcast, the terrorists are winning. That's what Jay Moore says.
Welcome to the Pubcast. Sit down and enjoy a pint.
Okay, welcome to the Pubcast. In this episode, Rob and Allison join me to break down The Silence of the Lambs. This is a movie that we quoted a lot in college, probably second most to Goodfellas. I think you can probably imagine the quotes we focused on are mainly from Jame Gumb or Jame Gumb. And this podcast is no different. We were a little over the top on the Jame Gumb quotes. So you'll see that toward the end of the episode. We went a little long on this episode, and instead of breaking it into 2 episodes, I kept it just as one, but it's definitely longer than normal. And but we do break down all aspects of this movie, so check it out. There's all kinds of good casting discussion and the back and forth on the how much are they worth game. And we do try to figure out if this is in fact a horror movie or what genre it is. So get ready for our breakdown of Silence of the Lambs.
You spook easily, Starling?
Not yet, sir.
He's past the others. The last cell. I'll be watching. You'll do fine.
A killer is on the loose.
Keeps them alive for 3 days. Then he shoots them, skins them, and dumps them.
A rookie FBI agent is on his trail.
He's got real physical strength, cautious, precise, and he's never impulsive. He'll never stop.
But in order to track him down, she'll have to match wits.
I'll help you catch him, Clarice.
Believe me, you don't want Hannibal Lecter inside your head.
With the darkest of all minds.
Just do your job, but never forget what he is.
Oh, he's a monster. Pure psychopath. So rare to capture one alive.
So close to the way you're going to catch him. Do you realize that? Oh, Clarice, your problem is you need to get more fun out of life.
You told me you don't spook easily.
You call this easy, sir?
Lecter's missing an arm.
Man's a raving maniac. Who knows what he'll do?
Thank you, Clarice. Thank you.
All right, Silence of the Lambs, Rob. Let me give you the no-nonsense plot, and then you can give me all your theories. I know you have many. A young FBI cadet must receive the help of an incarcerated and manipulative cannibal killer to help catch another serial killer, a madman who skins his victims. Ooh, fucking fantastic. That sums it up.
That's the summary.
Podcast over. Check it off and move on.
As Erica said, it tells you everything and nothing.
Yeah, pretty good. All right, let's start with you, Nash. Where were you? When did you see it? What impact did it have? Was it in the theater? Were you in Wheaton? It was 91.
Yeah, it came out, February of 91, right? I do believe I saw this in the theater. And I believe it was, with some ladies.
Ah.
Yeah. But I don't really remember too much about it, except, I don't want to jump ahead, but, to the ending part of the movie, which was tense. That was probably one of the more tension-filled rooms I had been in publicly, for a movie. And really...
I like that you could clarify that it was for a movie.
Yeah, for a movie.
It was the most tension-filled room I've ever been in, except for every Thanksgiving of your life.
I was just going to say, spots 1 through 15 would be any random Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, and Hanukkah.
Yeah. I meant in a movie, among polite, honorable people. But yes, that was...
Yeah. Number 1 most tense was your baptism. Just downhill from there. Great.
But I mean, as like a general theme, I think it's interesting to understand. I mean, obviously the CBS show is coming out with the Clarice spinoff, but this was a cultural phenomenon. This movie,
it was a runaway train, man.
Yeah,
it was everywhere.
I mean, at the time, it was groundbreaking in so many different ways. But like, you know, first and foremost, it was violent, and not just violent. It was the whole plot and setup of the crimes that were both trying to be solved and what Lecter did. They were terrible and violent and just extreme in their nature, and to the point where, you know, people were turned off by it. But I mean, then the like laudatory reaction to the movie though was just off the charts.
It was the scariest, creepiest movie I'd ever seen, except for The Exorcist at that time, and probably even since, honestly. But it was insane. But it was so entertaining. I remember seeing it in the theater and being blown away by it. It was great.
Yeah, I think I saw it in the theater also, and I'm not a horror movie kind of person. I don't like slasher movies, like chasing movies. I don't like that either. But this one was like more of a psychological thriller as opposed to like a true horror.
Not horror, really.
Well, that's funny that you guys both did the same thing I did, which was I reacted negatively when looking up stuff, and it kept getting put in the horror like genre or column.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not horror. That's not horror. And then I think I finally came around to the realization that it was horror, but just really well done. Like
what was horror
bloody,
about it?
It's violent. It is chase. You know, the essence of a Friday the 13th movie is just will he get caught? You know, the running, right? You know, essentially.
Except for what the last 20 minutes where it's walking, there's no chasing in the whole movie.
I think the thing that why it gets that is because you see the after effects of the violence. You don't see much of the acts of violence, and when they are, it's off screen. So even like when he was in the jail cell in Memphis in the gymnasium or whatever it was that he's beating the officer, it's off screen. Like you just see a little bit of blood spatter. You don't see the actual and that's, you don't see the body that he is hitting. And that's what's different than a lot of typical horror movies. And I think that's why people kind of go back and forth on, is it horror or is it not?
Yeah. That's a director, I think, definitely not wanting to get an NC-17 rating type of thing, you know?
Well, there's that.
I don't disagree, but I guess
whatever it will be.
I don't disagree, but I think that's why, even for me, like I think about it differently because it's not slasher and gore type horror. It is kind of more of a psychological suspense.
Well, that's where I would push back. Then I don't think that's why it's not horror, because
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, horror and gore are different, but horror and thriller are different too. And I think this I don't think this ever gets close to being a horror movie.
Yeah.
No, but it is horrific in the sense that, like, first of all, cannibalism in and of itself is a challenge. I mean,
it's a challenge.
But I mean, like,
it is a challenge.
No, but I mean, it's horrific in the sense of a major studio back film with major stars taking on some pretty tough stuff, even if it was indirect. So, like, even Miggs and that whole interaction with Clarice is not something you see in a major studio release. So, I mean, it was definitely shocking and horrific. And you know what he did. I mean, whenever a major Hollywood star wears someone else's skin as a mask, that's kind of horrific and, you know, boundary pushing. But it did have, again, it was well done and it had a crafted story, and so it was we all talk about it as a thriller, right? But in reality, it's like, you know, Halloween with a better plot, right? I mean,
yeah.
How dare you? So, Rotten Tomatoes score. I want to jump into this before we get into box office. What do you think the audience scored this for Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, man.
Yeah, let's go with that first.
I think 95.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's against the rules to be below 95, right? I mean, God, 98.
The audience scored it a 95.
Woo!
Ooh. I will actually say, to be honest, it's still a great movie. it's not as good on the 30th viewing as the first.
I don't.
No.
I have a different emotional reaction because I don't have the tenseness of the.
Yeah, well, you kind of know.
You know what? Because you know what's happening, right? But you still appreciate watching it and observing the acting and all of that in the movie. It's so good.
We can get into this now or later, but watching it through the 2020 lens or 2021 lens is very different than watching it in 1990 whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you think about who Jame Gumb is and why he is and all that sort of stuff. I thought that was different.
Yeah,
but
totally.
As far as the quality of the movie or where I'd rank it, good, bad, great, whatever. I think it held up perfectly. I think it was great.
Yeah, no, I think as a construct and a plot, it's a great movie. It is a great movie. I think it just reflects the times in which it was created a little bit. Like, so whether it's just the credits, which is a small criticism, but it was 1990 when it was filmed, was a long time ago. And there's certain technological aspects that just don't hold up as well. So,
did you say it wasn't a long time ago?
No, it was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What did the critics give it, do you think, Rob?
I'm totally thrown by this because obviously the movie was rewarded, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But as I was reviewing stuff, Gene Siskel
I saw that too.
This movie a blistering review. Like a takedown that almost seemed so well prepared that he really thought about it. Like if you watch it. And then Ebert comes back and kind of defends it, but defends it, not as an obsessive fan, just as kind of I think that this was done well and that was done well. But
how does that happen? How can a reviewer, a critic, a guy who knows his stuff that well, see a movie that audiences everywhere and critics across the world, the country at least, have in high regard, to say the least? How does he come at it sideways? I don't understand.
Well, I think it was exactly what we were talking about before, where he felt it was a bit over the top on kind of the horror side of it.
Yeah.
Just that was a turnoff for him. He did not. It was too. I guess.
I bet he reviewed Halloween better than this.
But I mean, he also thought there was a lack of redemption, and maybe there is, and meaning Dr. Lecter didn't get his just due, and that the violence was kind of exploitive. But I don't think so. I mean, it just seemed like an odd. It is the one take that's somewhat logical you could have on the movie, but when someone articulates it out loud, you're yeah, that makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Dr. Lecter did spend 10 years in a hole in the ground. I mean, there's something to be said for that.
Yes.
Just in this movie, forget about anything else.
But apparently, I saw this, that not only did Ebert defend the movie and kind of come back with a higher thing, that he would eventually go back and ribs Gene Siskel about the fact that he totally missed the boat on review of that movie, that this movie won all these awards and all this stuff, and what are you doing?
He did not hedge one opinion on this movie at all. It was an intense reaction. But I mean, the overall reaction to it, I do think, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to awards unless we're getting there, but the cultural reaction to this movie was so intense, and it came out in February. That's not major movie seasons,
right. They had to hang on for a year until the awards.
So, and it doesn't, there's not a lot of people who are saying have you seen that movie in February, right? It's usually Memorial Day or 4th of July or Labor Day or something like that.
96.
96 is your number?
Yeah.
Rob, what's your number?
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say 94.
The critics gave it a 96.
Yeah!
Wow! Oh my goodness!
Allison nailed it twice.
Wow! Good for you.
Did you see my sheet?
No.
Oh, all right. So before we get to its performance in the Oscars, let's just run down the top 10 box office for 91.
Okay.
Yeah, so this finished fourth in, I'm just going with domestic, international, whatever. Number one at the box office, Terminator 2, 204 million. Number two, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh my God. That's
Your heart out with a spoon.
That says more about America than I know. Ever.
164 million.
Wow. That is so Kevin Costner.
Number three, Home Alone, 138 million.
Wow.
So I'm assuming that number must be at the end of the year, obviously, because that movie came out in November or something of the year, right?
Yeah, probably.
That's insane. Silence of the Lambs, 129 million. City Slickers, number 5, 124 million.
Oh man.
Dances with Wolves, 6, 121. Sleeping with the Enemy, number 7, 94 million. The Addams Family, number 8 with 90 million. Naked Gun, 2.5.
Come on.
The Smell of Fear, 86 million is number 9. And number 10, the movie we all know and love, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
78 million.
Well, I mean,
made the top 10 of that year. Wow.
I did not know the movie context into which this film was released, but that is horrific.
Sharing the top 10 with Silence of the Lambs are the sequels, not the originals, but the sequel to Terminator, the sequel to Naked Gun, and the sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, it's not like things are graded on a curve, but I do feel like there might have been a little curve grading this year, because that is big movies don't necessarily garner awards anyway, but that's a brutal list.
Silence of the Lambs cost $19 million to make, and it made $129. So that's an investment. That works. Okay, Rob, let's dive into the Oscars. This movie won 5 major awards. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay from previously published material. Thoughts, Nash?
Well, first of all, I'm sure you all saw it, but it's one of only 3 films that do that, and that's crazy to me. To sweep, those 5 major categories.
Those 4. So, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Actress,
and Screenplay.
Yeah, but it's screenplay, based on a book. So
adapted.
Didn't I see that his is like the second shortest performance ever to win the Oscar, because he's on screen for like 24 minutes or something like that of the movie. Like, it's a pretty short duration of time.
I don't know what constitutes the best actor versus supporting actor. If you're only on screen for 15 minutes, 18 minutes, you only have X number of lines.
You know what though? If you were trying to measure performances as if someone's output on a treadmill, I agree. the amount of output in those minutes is intense.
I'm not criticizing the duration. I was making commentary.
Are you bad-mouthing Scott Glenn's performance?
That's a big comment I had. I wanted to get into it a little bit. I think upon this most recent viewing, he is much more of a glue to this movie than I remember him. And his role is super important. And it might be colored a little bit about the research, about how much preparation he did for the role, and then what he kind of went through, the nasty stuff he learned in partnership with the FBI. that I'm like, I was more impressed with Scott Glenn's performance leaving it than I had gone into it with.
Yeah. So, Anthony, we'll get to, I want to focus on the actor and actress part of this as much as we can. Anthony Hopkins beat out, in this one time, one category, this 1 year, he beat out Warren Beatty, Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, and Robin Williams.
Wow.
That's sort of a who's who of actors
in the 90s.
Was the Robin Williams
was it Awakenings?
Cape
Fear, motherfucker.
Oh, no.
Robin Williams?
De Niro.
Oh, sorry.
That's De Niro.
Wow. Robin Williams and Cape Fear is a much different movie.
It's been a long time I've seen that movie. But,
I want to see Cape Fear with Robin Williams, actually.
I want to see them try and put tattoos on through his forearm hair.
Yeah. Come out, hello, ho, hey, ho.
Work for more.
Yes, that would be
Robin Williams was Fisher King. Yeah.
Oh.
Come out and play. Ho, hey.
Let's swap all these guys.
That's the greatest impression ever.
I know.
No, but was it for Dead Poets Society? What was his movie? King. Oh, Fisher King. Sorry.
Fisher King, Prince of Tides was Nolte, De Niro, Cape Fear, and Warren Beatty for Bugsy.
That's terrible. Man, cinema was really scraping bottom in the early 90s.
Yeah. Great actors, but not great movies.
Yeah.
So then Jodie Foster beat out Gina Davis, Laura Dern, Bette Midler, and Susan Sarandon.
That's a studded competition.
I would say that's equally as good.
What were the movies?
Thelma and Louise twice. For Gina and Susan. Bette Midler for The Boys, and Laura Dern for Rambling Rose.
I've never seen that movie.
No. I haven't seen any of those except for Silence of the Lambs.
Wow.
I didn't see Thelma and Louise.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love Not to Know. It's great.
Quite a pop culture miss there.
Well, I do have my holes, that's for sure.
Indubitably.
All right, Nash, you want to add anything on the Oscars, or should we move into the trivia section?
No, I mean it's one of by the Oscars definition, I think, or maybe just a general perception, one of only 6 horror movies ever to receive a nomination in anything. So they define horror as The Exorcist, Jaws,
Jaws, really?
Yeah.
All right, what are we doing?
Sixth Sense, Black Swan, and Get Out. So Silence of the Lambs.
Swan, really?
Yeah, which I mean, I thought Black Swan was unusual because I remember it being creepy, but not horror.
Agreed. Yeah.
Horrific. Is that the word I want?
Yeah.
And Get Out, I guess, was horror, but really, I don't know. Anyway.
Again, I think that's where I kind of go with the more of a suspense psychological thriller.
I don't know what a horror movie is, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I must have a different definition.
I think the general point that's revealed here, though, is that this movie, Silence of the Lambs was, one of only 3 films to win the awards it did, and just a runaway recognition it won numerous film festivals and individual awards for the actors, directors, and writers. It was just lauded generally. Yeah. But then the Academy throws it in. I mean, other than The Exorcist, Jaws is a cultural phenomenon, and Sixth Sense, probably one of the greatest twists of all time, but is it the greatest movie? I don't know. And then Black Swan and Get Out, again, great movies, but that's what they throw it into. And I feel like if you look at it in that mix, Silence of the Lambs scores better in that context.
It's a standout in that category, sure.
Yeah. I think they struggle with that. They struggle with how to define a movie that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and not that we need to define every movie as a genre necessarily, but I don't know if horror just means it has a scary part. I don't. Great.
No, but one last thing I think is important, because I'm a fan of Jodie Foster in general, but Jodie Foster won an Academy Award for The Accused.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable material, and probably the first time it's been portrayed in that realistic nature.
Yeah.
And then this movie, she won an Academy Award, and you got to be a pretty fucking good actress to win an award for two movies that are like brutal like that,
Mm-hmm.
Well, and wasn't she nominated for Taxi Driver?
No, she won for Taxi Driver too. So okay. So she's in the midst of some tough movies, obviously. But I mean,
yeah, she seems to gravitate toward him.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, or she's just really good in that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, just really good in general, I think. But yeah.
All right, trivia time. As usual, I will say that I'm going to try to power through some of this, but we never seem to do that, so fuck it. Again, this is stuff that many of us know. I don't know if everybody knows this, but this movie was based on the book of the same name. Oh, are you there, Rob?
I'm here. Sorry. I feel like my connection's losing it.
That's fine. This movie is based on a novel of the same name written by Thomas Harris. This book was a sequel to Red Dragon. So Red Dragon was the first one. That book was made into the movie Manhunter by Michael Mann in 1986, and then remade later.
By the way, great. One of the greatest movies of all time. Any Michael Mann movie, aka Heat.
Manhunter, Heat, they're all the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Manhunter came out, and then Silence of the Lambs did so well that they had to make a sequel to it that had Hannibal Lecter featured more prominently and Anthony Hopkins. So they remade Manhunter essentially into Red Dragon and called it by the novel name. But Manhunter and Red Dragon are basically the same movie, but
no, they are essentially. I mean, the dialogue's different, but it is a remake. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Rob, you may have done some research on this, so I'm going to say what I think happened here, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not. This one I wasn't clear on. So originally, Gene Hackman and Orion Pictures split the cost to buy the rights to Silence of the Lambs, the movie rights to the book. Gene Hackman put his money in because he was going to theoretically direct and also star in it. But the question I had was, because I've seen two different explanations of this. Was he going to play Lecter or was he going to play
Crawford?
Crawford.
Yeah,
I think he was going to play Crawford, right?
So I saw both. I saw, the wider lens on that whole issue was that I heard that or read that that Jodie Foster had done the same thing. Read the book, reacted, "Oh my gosh, this is a great story," and tried to move on the rights as an individual, and then discovered that Hackman had already controlled it. But I heard either Crawford or Lecter, and then the interesting part that I saw, not in a lot of places, but just in one was Hackman won for Best Actor in '88 for Mississippi Burning.
Yep.
Right.
And there's a couple scenes where he's kind of brutal and police brutality and some other stuff, and he was kind of taken aback about the reaction to his brutality. And I read that he was concerned about playing Lecter and sort of cementing that reputation, and he didn't want to do it.
I saw that same thing. So he basically kind of stepped back and was like, I don't want to be typecast.
Yeah, which then when I saw that he, in a different place, that he was going to play, I can't get his name, Jack Crawford, then I was confused. Like, what was happening there?
I want to build on this, though, for a moment. So speaking of just people reacting to the violence of the part. So I read that Anthony Hopkins was dating Martha Stewart at the time of this, and it was kind of like on again, off again type thing. But after the movie came out and she saw it, she broke up with him because she was so disturbed by his performance that she just had to get out of there.
Wow. I didn't know that they were ever dating, for one.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a on again, off again kind of casual thing, but she was like, oh, no.
Was the performance that crazy and over the top?
Yes.
All right.
Well, I don't know where you want to hop into that, but...
Dive in.
Well, this cultural reaction to the movie, which was intense, and I'm unfortunately, first of all, this podcast and some of my recent Netflix viewing clearly has me on an FBI watch list because it's as I was going through the research and plot lines and everything for Thomas Harris and the movie and the screenplay and everything else, you know, they were referencing different serial killers and everyone kind of knows Ted Bundy and a couple others and, Jeffrey Dahmer and Gacy and whatever else. But you then start getting these like second and sort of third ring references that also compose some of the preparation that the actors undertook for the movie. Yeah. And these stories are horrific, like terrible, awful things, like to the point where Scott Glenn apparently, he reached out to FBI agents and the whole film was granted much more access to Quantico and their academy than, other productions had been. And, the one, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the one agent was like, well, if you really want to get in the mind of these serial killers, you should listen to these audio tapes of these killers who recorded the torture and death and, assault of these young women. And Scott Glenn apparently listened to him for a few minutes and ripped the headphones off and left the room crying and said it like changed his life in a negative way. Yeah.
I would think so.
Why would you?
Like, who could do that?
But that's what I said to Rachel this afternoon. Sorry, my wife. I'm like, what? Why would an FBI agent say, "Hey, listen to this. It'll destroy your fundamental outlook on the world"?
Hey, untrained person.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Hey, dude, just act like us. You don't have to have our entire life experience. Just act like us.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
You want to act like this? Here, have a tight haircut and a tailored suit and some glasses and go just be a cop. That's the character.
But I mean, anyway, the point is that, like, as bad as it was, the real world is just even worse,
Yeah.
Ted Bundy, Ed Gein, he was a horrible serial killer. The one mentioned here in my research, I didn't know, Gary M. Heidnik. I didn't know that one off the top of my head.
So yeah, I didn't either. And he's essentially the model for the pit in the basement, right? So he had the home in Philadelphia with the pit.
We're discussing it right now. Breaking into the trivia.
Aren't we doing trivia?
This is trivia, kind of.
No.
Let's call this pseudo trivia. So the pit. All right, I have a lot of thoughts on the pit. We stopped the movie a couple times to talk about the pit. Not just the pit, but the basement. So from what I can gather by watching the movie, this is an 840 square foot house with a basement that is 64,000 square feet. And there's 12 rooms and 4,300 different hallways and a pit that goes down 67 feet.
I think it touches the core. I think it touches the core of the earth, actually. Yeah.
It is so big. There are so many rooms in that basement.
Before you guys,
it's a clown car of rooms. Like it's just never ending.
You rolled it out. I was like, I would love to see a schematic of this.
I said that last night.
Said that exact thing. He's like, I need to see like a floor plan of what's happening here. How do you get from room to room? Because it's like you turn around, you're walking down the hallway and you turn around 180 degrees and the hallway you just walked down is not there. It's a totally it's like
the rooms that aren't there in the floor plan of the Shining Hotel. Where you turn left and you turn left again and you should be back in the hallway, but there's like a swimming pool there or something. It's like, what?
So yes, it was a very extensive basement. I mean,
it's Alice in Wonderland shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would almost call it a character in the film. Not only the basement, but that subterranean compound, because there were creepy feelings in the moth/butterfly room. There were creepy feelings in the seamstress room. There are creepy feelings at the well where Catherine was. I mean, it had like a creepy overtone with special creepy categories as you went through it. So
Brendan, early on in the movie, when they were going to Moffat's storage or whatever, and Brendan's like, if you see somebody that's got more than one mannequin in their possession, run away. Yeah. And then you go in Jame Gumb's basement and there's 17 mannequins with all of these costumes on them, run away.
If you break into someone's storage locker and you see one mannequin, all right,
they're a tailor or whatever.
There's any number of reasons you could that might be okay. If you see more than one, and you got to run out of there. You can't. There's no tolerating more than one mannequin.
No, it's like playing blackjack with the card. You don't even make a decision. You just look.
Yeah.
And here's the x-axis. Here's the y-axis. I now must leave. Right.
One molecule toward the left, I'm out of there. Gone. No way. Yeah, that house is crazy town.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
I was so distracted by that kitchen. Why she didn't want to run out of there by how
Allison,
nasty everything was.
I would say I watched that scene first of all because it begins and ends with the two best parts of the entire movie.
As we said, let's wait on that one. Let's get there when we get there.
His greeting and his departure are among the greatest things in cinema, but
much to say about that.
But in that room where he's going through the cards, there's that cabinet behind him, and he's got all of those boxes in there. Brendan was so obsessed with
what are in those
what's
boxes
in there.
Allison, both of you
I wanted it to be.
Both of you are missing it, and I missed it too until when I watched it this week. They don't even get all the way in, and Clarice is asking the random questions just to, kind of get the conversation going. And she's like, so did you take over the house right after Mrs. Lippman died? And he said, well, I bet, back and forth. And he's like, I've been here about 2 years. And she looks around and she's like, this is not 2 years worth of insanity. This is something else.
This brings me back to the death pit. He obviously killed Mrs. Lippman, and that's her house, and she's in the bathtub decomposing. Let's say it was 2 years. I don't know, whatever it was, fine. So either he went into that basement, broke down a bunch of the walls, and started digging out these other passages, or that's her fucking basement. That hellhole in the basement with all the
Mrs. Lippman.
Mrs. Lippman is a mass murderer. She's taking people.
Brendan, if you look closely at that body that's decomposing in the tub, there is a little miner's helmet on it, and it has a light, and it's digging it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
but that is her house, and. Okay, you're there for 2 years. There's no
in
way
my mind, I
dug
assume
the fucking underground railroad underneath this house.
I assume, as I watched the end of the movie, I assume it's approximately as large as the subterranean human refuge in the Matrix movies.
Yeah.
It's about that big.
Yep.
The human refuge, or where they keep all the seeds and all the
ark,
all the ark and everything that's built under the mountains in Colorado somewhere. All that conspiracy shit. That's what that basement is. All right. Anyway, back to Insanity. Okay, the movie was shot largely around Pittsburgh. Ta-da.
However,
what?
The house.
Yeah.
Were you going to say this?
No.
The house, the outside of the house where I think Mrs. Lipman's house was filmed in Ohio, which happens to be, what's his name? Ted Levine's.
Ted Levine, yeah. Hometown.
His hometown. And the house was next door to his high school girlfriend.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Like, it wasn't just it was in his hometown. This house was right next door. Like, it was a weird connection.
Good Lord. Anthony Hopkins was said to create the character of Lecter, at least his voice and sort of his mannerisms and the way he spoke, channeling a combination of Truman Capote, Katharine Hepburn, and Hal from 2001, Space Odyssey.
Yep. And and I noticed it again, like it's hard not to, but the fact that, you know, they talk about him, everything about him, he is in control, even when he's killing, he is like in control of what he's doing. His heart rate is right. Something that is supposed to be just a unconscious act is blinking.
Yeah, right.
And even his blinking is controlled during the whole movie, which is supposed to be also like reptilian, in that reptiles consciously open and close their eyes. And so it was supposed to be this kind of reptilian component of this character. So not only was he had these people in mind, but it was also this kind of cold-blooded creature component, which I thought was.
I thought the other thing that was interesting was just Jonathan Demme in general and in his sort of background. You know, he, like a bunch of people, had that background with the Roger Corman sort of like exploitation films and, you know, bad kind of quasi horror films. But he loved those zooms, and you could almost call them Spielberg-like, but he loves the jump in, and he does that on Crawford. The best one is the Clarice, you know, when they realize they're in the wrong spot. But he took and seems to think about this a lot. That to an extreme where anytime anyone's talking to Clarice, they're speaking to the camera. And anytime Clarice is speaking, she's looking off a little bit to the side. And Demme said, I wanted everyone to feel like they were Clarice. So if someone's talking to Clarice, it's them into the camera directly. And
I noticed that specifically with her little FBI friend.
Yeah.
She was all talking like straight into the camera. Yeah.
So it just, that idea of like building that feel was interesting. It just was like I guess I remembered it as more innovative filmmaking wise, or maybe cinematography. And it was less cinematography, I think, now that I watched it again, and more like of the quick edits. There was a lot of editing that was helpful in the movie.
Yeah, I think this is 30 years ago. It's edited more like a modern movie now, with the pacing and the speed and the getting to the point and getting to the action or whatever, as opposed to a lot of movies in the late 80s have not caught up to that yet, and they're a little slower. I did read one thing that I hadn't heard before. I thought it was interesting about the character of Lecter, that it was Hopkins' idea for Lecter to wear white.
Yeah.
That his theory was that people already have like his ingrained fear of doctors and dentists who wear white on the job, and so that Lecter should wear white in every scene. You know, he's in that jail cell environment and wearing white as opposed to, I don't know, orange or whatever sort of jumpsuits. Yeah. I want to call him Jamie, but it's Jame.
Jame
Gumb's naked dance was not in the screenplay.
Yep, I saw that.
But it was in the novel, from what I read. So. Yeah,
but Ted Levine was pretty insistent on it being in the movie because he thought it really defined the character in who he was trying to be.
We probably don't have time to talk about the sort of collateral damage from this movie, but Ted Levine's, struggles, which he's happily actually overcome lately with, a variety of like cable series and whatnot. Right. Good actor and did a great job in this movie and then suffered so viciously for it for a very long time. But I was also thinking about what else was sacrificed by this movie. And the singer that song and singer when he's dancing, and that was sort of, and a couple other songs. I think the whole thing was kind of like blacklisted, and it made me think. I'm like, how did American Girl escape this fate? Yeah. That's it. That's we all love American Girl. You're at a party here, American Girl. You're loving it, right? And you start playing Jame Gumb's dance song. You're like, whoa, what's going on?
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's so funny you say that because if American Girl comes on, I will always think of that, of this movie and that scene of her driving, and you hear Goodbye Horses, and you also think of that scene of this movie, and you can't separate the two. No. I guess it's a bit more joyous when she's singing at that part of the movie.
It has, I guess the darkest hasn't fallen yet, maybe, but it's that's funny. It's just so, the two characters, Hannibal and Buffalo Bill, and their like ability to make others, I don't know, dirty.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I saw that was improvised by Anthony Hopkins was the comment about Clarice's accent, Southern accent, where he kind of made fun of it, was improvised. Jodie Foster didn't know that was coming, and so that kind of hurt look on her face was real.
Yeah.
And afterward, he had, commented on it, but she was kind of put off for a bit about that, poking fun of her.
Yeah. Jame Gumb's name came about by a misspelling by his parents on the birth certificate. It was supposed to be James Gumb.
Huh.
Just like on our marriage certificate, it was supposed to say Rob Nash, but it said Rob Mash. M-A-S.
You're out. Allison, get away while you can.
Really? I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I remember when he signed it and the priest was looking at it or whatever, and I'm like looking over his shoulder. I'm like, mash? Like mashed potatoes? What, who is that? That I don't know what Rob Mash.
I was not paying attention. Are we truly married?
No, I'm saying, Allison, Brennan, we've been meaning to tell you something.
I'm out of here.
The skull on the moth on the movie poster is not actually a skull. It is it's made up of 7 naked women posing in the shape of a skull, taken from a famous painting or picture of Salvador Dali posing next to this big painting. So you can see it's exactly it. I didn't know that. I thought that was a skull, but it is, but it isn't.
I'm pulling it up right now.
You can. Salvador Dali, skull, something. Yeah. Nash, any other trivia that you want to mention before I get to casting issues?
Yeah, no, I think most of it casting. It's just interesting that the timing of the movie, again, it was that huge phenomenon with the big Academy Award impact, but it came out in February, and so that award season was literally 12 or 13 months later. So for the movie to have that kind of sticking power was impressive.
Well, they must not have thought it was going to do as well as it did, for one. I mean, if you thought that would be a big hit, you would put it out in May, June.
No, I actually read it kind of got punted because they wanted to clear the field for Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
And so they like pushed it off to not compete with its own, previous year effort.
Yep. Okay, I have some names who were considered for Clarice, Lecter, and I have Gene Hackman as Jack Crawford is the only other one, but we're going to scratch that one because that's bullshit. All right. These are all the ones that you've seen. I only have 3 for each, and it's the only 3 for each that I saw. Clarice was potentially offered to, or people that were considered include Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, and Laura Dern.
Yep, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
I thought Michelle Pfeiffer's, she had a good answer at one point, I thought, on like parts and who was up for what part in general, where she's like, listen, sometimes you want to play something and you just can't because you have a conflict or whatever else. It's not like you're saying that's a bad idea. You just couldn't get it done. But she said specifically about this movie, she was so put off by Lecter sort of getting away with it that she's like, I can't do the movie. And I was surprised how many people, again, back to like Scott Glenn's preparation, but there were Sean Connery and others who were like, this movie's too screwed up. Like I can't associate myself with this movie.
It's always weird to me. Like it's a movie. It's fiction. It's a story. Go play the story. I don't know why you.
Not every movie has to have a happy ending,
right?
Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. For Lecter, as you mentioned, Sean Connery, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, he would have been the best.
I know, of course. And then Derek Jacobi, who is an actor. I don't know him by name. I looked him up, and I've seen him before, but he's not, top of mind. Daniel Day-Lewis in 1991 for Lecter. Seemed a little young.
Yeah, I still like Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
I think the age is right. To your point, I think
so,
the age is right.
And sometimes I wonder. I think the movie Manhunter, which was the first Lecter movie, and my guy Michael Mann filming it, he kind of defined the character, and he wasn't that dissimilar from the way Hopkins did it. And he was creepy too. Like he did
Albert Finney, right?
Yeah, and Finney,
he was really good.
He did a good version too. And I don't claim that it's better than Hopkins, but it is it's just a good character that I think a lot of people can draw on. Is my point, I guess.
The best part of Manhunter is when Lecter and the FBI and Crawford, or the FBI guy, have the big shootout in the street with the automatic rifles and the body armor. That's the best part of Manhunter, definitely. Okay. All right. It's everyone's favorite. Woo. Recasturbate.
Oh my goodness.
Better close the door. It's time to recasturbate.
Everybody better get comfortable.
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There is a core 4.
Yep.
And then there's everybody else.
Yep.
I have 55 nominees for each category.
All right. We're going to do the top 4. And then I want to do 2 others specifically. So we're going to do Clarice, Lecter, Crawford, and Gumb. And then I want to do Chilton and Catherine Martin. And then after that, it's just let's just do a round robin, wild card, whatever.
Okay.
I put in Lieutenant Boyle just because I like Charles Napier.
Yeah.
That's my guy, but we don't have to do him. We can do whoever. That's when you just throw out your favorite randoms.
Yep.
I mean, for just a moment, can we pour one out for Charles Napier? I mean, that guy,
That's why I wanted to talk about him, because he's so good.
But I mean, how do you? I mean, there are very few people, and I know he's not a huge star, but there's very few people who, for like a generation of the population, that's the face of authority. That is the face of copness. Is Charles Napier?
Of he played somebody with a badge 1,000 times.
If you had to draw, if you were forced to give a description to a courtroom artist, it would, right. That's what you would describe.
Would look like. That's him.
He's either a security guard, a cop, an FBI guy, or a military guy.
Yeah, or ex-military guy who's gone bad, something like that. But
he was the bad guy in Rambo. I mean,
yes, but come on, the jaw, everything.
Was he like a general in Austin Powers?
Yes.
God damn it! See,
he had his
yeah.
His uniform on.
I didn't remember that, but that okay. So obviously, Mike Myers already expressed my entire theory better and more succinctly.
He parodied himself in Austin Powers.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Clarice.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Where would you like to start? Crawford?
That would build up. I have so many thoughts on this.
Okay.
Well, then we'll come to you last on this one. Clarice, I have 3 names. I don't know that I love any of them, but I think they all could work.
Yeah.
They'd be fine.
Okay.
But I spent so little time on this, I can't even tell you. I ran through it, and it seemed very easy to me to come up with people. And had I put more time into it, I would have done like Rob and had 15 for each person. So I just cut it off in 3 and I was done. My Clarice, I got 3 names. I'll go worst to best. Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, I had her on my list. Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Anya Taylor-Joy from the Chess Netflix movie. And my number 1, I think, is Daisy Ridley.
Oh, she was on my list too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Done and done.
Not mine.
I had a lot of names for this one, and so I can still say 3 that are not on, that weren't on your list.
Say your favorite 3.
Saoirse Ronan would have been my top, but I'll say Lily James.
Okay.
Dakota Johnson.
I had her on the B list.
Wow.
And then I had Kristen Stewart.
Ooh. As did I. And Allison, I was wrestling with the idea of, do I have Kristen Stewart because I think she could do it, or just because she was in the movie with Jodie Foster, Panic Room.
Oh.
Panic Room. But I do think Kristen Stewart actually would have been pretty good at that role.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she's older than Jodie Foster was when she played it, but she still looks young enough.
She looks right.
She
looks right.
Jodie Foster at the time of filming was roughly 29.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I thought it was like 26.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Then I feel better about that. I feel like Dakota Johnson she's got that innocence look about her that I kind of like.
Yeah, I didn't even think of her. I think that works.
All right, Robbie.
Right. Well, I mean,
the phone book.
I'll try and narrow it down to the ones that really make sense, because I actually have an interesting twosome that both might work. I mentioned Kristen Stewart and Dakota Johnson that I kind of thought I thought so. Jennifer Lawrence can kind of play all these roles, so I won't even. Yeah. I seem like I have to acknowledge her.
Like her.
Yeah. But
on the podcast overall, we've stopped mentioning her because I think it's too easy to say her name.
So that doesn't count. But I thought Emma Watson might be interesting because she's waif-like, but could be fierce. Kind of like her role prior. I think Brie Larson's kind of like a throwaway too. But I actually think Taylor Swift or Miley Cyrus could be a good Clarice.
I definitely disagree.
I could see maybe
like
Miley Cyrus, maybe Taylor Swift. I don't like
either one of those.
I'm not sure I'm there.
Sorry, Rob.
I thought
creative casting though.
Kerry Washington's a little too old, but I actually think she could do it too.
Yeah, I consider her. All right, interesting. Al, you go first this time, and this is Hannibal the Cannibal.
All right.
Oh man.
My joke one is Armie Hammer, only because of all of the the Page 6 gossip that's going on right now about his cannibalistic tendencies. So I'm gonna.
I don't even know what that's about.
I had one that was like I felt like as a lock. So, the two I had lots, but I'm gonna go Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix.
Jared Leto is too pretty, I think, to be Hannibal.
I think he could do the slow blink though.
He is a reptile.
Joaquin Phoenix, and then the lock was Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, he's so small. Me saying that.
Yeah. Christoph Waltz is interesting. Joaquin, I have somewhere else. And what was your first one? Leto, right?
Leto. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him in that. Joaquin, I think, works.
Yeah, I like the idea though that the character is attractive, smart, can kind of draw people in.
What I can't get, this is a theme we have with really any movies that are around this period. In the movie, Anthony Hopkins is 54. He's 6 years older than me. He looks like he's 64 in that movie, right?
Wow.
He looks okay. He looks 60, I think.
I think it's because his hair's combed back and it's thin.
Well, but looking at him, all those wrinkles, all those lines around his eyes when they do the close-ups, I was surprised. Like,
hey, people in glass houses, buddy.
My house is not glass; it is stone. How dare you? Okay, my Hannibal. I had written a bunch of names, and then when I realized who I forgot, I put him to the front of the line. I'm like, oh, of course it's this guy. This is my only answer. So my backups are Giancarlo Esposito.
I don't know.
He most recently was in The Mandalorian. With the whatever lightsaber thing.
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay.
He was in not Better Call Saul.
Breaking Bad. He was in. Yeah.
So he was in that. My number 2 is nice because it's Ralph Fiennes.
Oh yeah.
He actually plays Dollarhide in Red Dragon.
Right. That doesn't.
I'm doing it.
I thought
you can't do it.
Do it. Yeah.
I'm erasing that movie and replacing it with this one. My number 1, I think, with a bullet. This is my Lecter. Is Gary Oldman.
Oh,
he's my go-to with a lot of these things, but Gary Oldman is my Hannibal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A little bit old now, isn't he?
A little bit. He's within 5 years of this. I think he's 58, 62.
Gary Oldman is?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing right now. But.
So I of course I could not contain myself. I have a number here, but the cheap throwaway is Kevin Spacey could have done it before he's got into his little hot water. But here's a random one that is too young. But have you guys seen The Boys?
Yeah.
I think Anthony Starr, he could be a Lecter, and he seems like a creepy guy. Kind of threw Mark Ruffalo in there, but here are my 3 interesting ones. Michael Shannon, of course, we all love, but I do think he could do it.
Oh, yeah.
I like that more than a lot of these.
Yeah, I do too.
This one's going to sound weird, but I actually think he could do it. Louis C.K.
Oh my God.
He's already kind of detested.
I don't think you have to come in with a bad reputation to play Lecter.
It'd be great, though. I think it just would really work.
You've got Spacey and Louis C.K. All right.
There's a lot of sarcasm that's coming out of Hannibal Lecter.
I don't think Lecter can have a red goatee and a smirk. Like this.
But no, wait. Sorry. Here's the one I settled on. Liv Schreiber.
Oh,
I had him on my list. I had him there
that's good.
before I put in Gary Oldman.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like Michael Shannon. I like Michael Shannon a lot.
Yeah.
For that role.
I think that's a good one.
Double news flash.
That's when I referenced Michael Shannon to Rachel, she's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, he read the sorority letter. She's like, "Oh yeah."
Clarice, cunt punt.
That's what Hibbs or Gibbs or Mibs or Mibs or what Miggs says next to her.
Yeah.
Next to her.
Newsflash.
Oh my God. All right. I'm gonna Clarice, you will not be pre-gaming with the Kappa Beta Delta house, whatever the fuck it is. I'm going to save Jame Gumb for a minute, so let's go with Jack Crawford.
Okay. All right.
We're just going to keep Rob last for all these because he has 11.
I have a million. You guys usually knock one or two off, though. So
yeah. So Jack Crawford, I don't have a runaway winner, but these are all pretty equal in my opinion. Robert Downey Jr. For Jack Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Bateman.
Oh.
Jack Crawford. And I think the guy I'm going to go with, I think he's a little old, but I'm going to go a little George Clooney.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got Idris Elba.
Mm-hmm. I consider that.
Justin Theroux.
Yeah. Does he do anything anymore? Does he act at all, or is he?
I think he does some more producing and writing.
I feel like he's more active in Allison's Diary.
Now that I know that Rob Nash signed our marriage license. My number one though is Matthew Rhys.
Yeah.
From The Americans.
Yeah.
Oh.
Carrie Mason
on HBO, The Americans. Yeah.
I went very much more conventional, I think. But I have a lot, so I'll quickly pass by those I don't think that are real serious.
Start with number 23 and work backwards.
Yes. Josh Brolin's too old, but he could definitely do it. I thought for a second I thought Tobey Maguire would be funny there. I don't know why. But a guy I thought that could actually do well with it is Michael Kelly. He's like Doug Stamper from House of Cards.
Oh, I like that one.
I think he's kind of an agent.
Oh yeah. That's a really good one.
I like that one.
I like that one too. When we came, that was actually a Rachel reference too. But Pedro Pascal, I thought could do it.
Yeah,
I thought he'd be good at it. I thought Ed Burns could do it. I thought that was interesting. And then Denzel always, but Forrest Whitaker I thought could really do it too.
Oh yeah, Forrest. I like Forrest. I like Kelly.
Yeah.
I like Stamper.
I like Kelly and I like Pedro Pascal. I think that was interesting.
After seeing him in Wonder Woman, I think his career is in jeopardy.
Oh, I actually haven't seen it yet.
I mean, he's fine, whatever, but that movie is such a pile of dog shit, and he and his character are ridiculously terrible. Yeah. I think he's a fine actor. Who cares? But that movie's so bad. Everybody associated with it should be like polishing their resumes for some other career.
It was not good.
I mean, even as superhero movies go, that one is whoo. Okay. Jame, don't call me Jame Gumb. Okay, I have 3, and I think they're all strong contenders. I'm going to go with my number 3.
Okay.
Which, for this podcast, is stunt casting Tom Hardy.
Oh.
No, God damn it. God damn it.
He could actually do it if we wanted him to.
Come on.
That's just for the fun of our podcast, throwing him in there.
Yep.
But I think it's real this time.
Yep.
Another one that I think is really good, Javier Bardem. I think he'd be a solid Jame Gumb.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think he was already mentioned on this podcast. I think my winner and a layup is Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
I think he nails it.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Sadly, no.
I have 3 names. So the
already.
So the first one is
I love that you have a series of Post-its, like a filing system that you're actually utilizing.
I always have 2 Post-its for this show.
She has to write all these things on the smallest possible piece of paper.
I know, it's ridiculous.
And this time I wrote them while riding in the car.
For those listening, near the fireplace, Allison has the equivalent of like the book of Genesis written out on 2 small Post-its.
It's War and Peace written on the back of a stamp.
All right. So my number 3 choice is Harry Melling, who played Dudley in Harry Potter.
For Jame Gumb?
Yeah. When you look at him as an adult.
I know.
He plays kind of typically offbeat.
Offbeat, but okay. All right. Go ahead.
All right.
I want to fight that one.
Number 2.
Oh.
Adam Driver.
That is good. I second that emotion.
He's a podcast favorite.
And then number 1 is Shia LaBeouf.
That's your number 1.
Yep.
Yeah. So disappointing.
Do it. Whatever he said in that stupid video.
I wrote between him and Adam Driver as the number 1. Adam Driver might just be too tall.
I think he's too menacing for something. I don't know.
The only reason I all 3 of them, I was thinking like, who would be saying, "Oh wait, that was the lens." So that's all I'm saying. But that was the lens.
Don't hold it, Rob. Hold it. I don't want to ruin it.
I should have got back down here to do it. So I got into a loop-de-loop that I could not get out of. I couldn't stop, and I have a case to make for each of these. Yes, but I have a couple people. I think Jared Leto is just like almost like a joke to say, but I do think he could be Jame Gumb too, obviously. Yeah. But I have some interesting folks before I tell you who I settle on. I think Johnny Galecki could be Jame Gumb. I don't know why.
Who is that?
Johnny Galecki?
I don't know who that is.
Johnny Galecki is, of course, from Roseanne fame as the little kid. And then on Sheldon or whatever the fuck it's called. Excuse me.
Wow. Is dumb? Are we casting the same role?
Yeah, I think he's nuts.
All right.
I'll cut to the chase. Zach Braff, I think, could actually do it in a funny way. Casey Affleck, maybe. Matthew McConaughey.
I had Casey Affleck at one point.
Matthew McConaughey, too old, obviously, now, but could have. But I settled on Joe Keery from Stranger Things. The fancy boy.
I know. Joe Keery comes up a lot in our recasting. I will say, just to your point about saying somebody was too old to play the part, who I wanted to play the part 20 years ago is Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, totally. He was on my list too.
Yeah. Man.
He had that hair at one point in real life.
All right. 2 sort of bonus people, and then we get to the wild card round.
Okay.
Al, you go first. Dr. Frederick Chilton.
Yep. Okay. So I have 3.
I fucking nailed this.
And the last one was a last minute audible, and I feel like it went to number 1 with a bullet. My number 3 choice is Jude Law.
Okay. Chilton, to me, the defining characteristic is creepy. He's got to be a little creepy.
I know.
So I'm not sure Jude Law gets there, but I like Jude Law. So, okay.
Number 2, James McAvoy.
Yeah. I like him in anything pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the number 1 that was a last minute change was Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a tough character.
I think I beat it. I think I beat all 3. I think I have 3 that would top those.
Okay.
I don't say that often, but
all right.
I'm confident about these 3. Coming in third for me, and I focused on the potential creep factor in mine. Number 3 would be Walton Goggins, guy with the big teeth. He gets him knocked out in the Tarantino movie with the 8, not the Great 8, the whatever. Walton Goggins.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Hateful Eight.
Thank you. This one, number 2, I thought was my guy, but then I found number 1 and then I moved it down. Number 2, Josh Brolin. I think he'd be a great little creepy Chilton. And then my number 1 is a name I don't think I've said on this podcast yet. I recommended, but maybe you guys have. Timothy Oliphant is my Chilton.
That's not bad, actually.
I like him more than I thought I would. I think he's my guy. I think he's my creepy doctor guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. That could work.
All right, start with number 16 and work down.
No, I'm quicker here. I thought Ryan Reynolds could do it, but that he wouldn't be the best. But he's probably like too distracting. But he's got the attitude, right? Then I thought Paul Giamatti. If anyone could be annoying, Giamatti could be annoying.
I was trying to shoehorn him in somewhere in this cast. And I couldn't make it work.
I thought about him at one point,
but I settled on, and I think he could kill it, especially based on Dawn of the Dead. Ty Burrell. He is smarmy and can really be smarmy, and I think he'd be good.
Is he the guy in Modern Family?
Yeah, he's Phil. He's Phil Dunphy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I had considered also like John Hamm,
right,
as
that
kind of the same thing where it's kind of like it's
used car salesman but creepy and
it's going with the I just forgot the character's name from Mad Men. It's like that turned up to like Don Draper to like a different off kilter degree. And then I also was thinking about Michael Fassbender would be.
Why do I not ever consider him for anything? Every time someone says that name, I'm like, oh, of course that guy. Yeah. But I never think of him.
You just have a wondrous discovery every other week.
Every time it's brand new to me. Oh, Fassbender is still he's still working? Great. Let's go with Catherine Martin. I have 2.
Okay.
Honestly, so many people can work for these parts. Who cares really? But I have 2 and a Catherine Martin wild card.
Okay.
Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, I think.
Yep.
And whatever else she's in. I think the winner for me is Dakota Fanning. I think she'd be easy, perfect Catherine Martin, but really find any actress of that age, you could probably throw it in there.
Yeah.
And my wild card is Catherine Martin's mother, Tilda Swinton. I want Tilda as the senator mom, and then whatever girl playing her daughter. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, she could play the senator. Yeah. So I had 3. I'll go reverse order. Julia Garner, who she was also in The American. She was in Ozark. Curly hair. Number 2, Ariel Winter.
Oh, yeah. From Modern Family. Right? Yeah.
And then number 1 is Beanie Feldstein.
What?
She is in Booksmart. She I can imagine the shouting from the pit and what she would say would be fantastic.
One of the things I want to quickly touch on.
Don't make me hurt your dog.
That's exactly right.
The whole. Let's talk about the whole ending of the movie. But the stress Catherine introduces into this environment that Clarice comes into is so unnecessary and so unnerving. And Clarice is just like, several times she's like, shut up. Like,
shut that dog up.
I know, but she's just like, ugh. Oh, I really had to not appreciate that.
Trying to save you, motherfucker. Shut up.
I thought about this way too much. So I thought Mindy Kaling could do it just because I think it would be funny.
She's way too old, isn't she?
She's too old. She's too old. She's too old. Then one of my favorites, but not my actual submission, Khloe Kardashian. I definitely think that can be done.
You put a lot of thought into Catherine Martin. Let's just keep that clear.
I thought Kate Dennings, who's from, Two Broke Girls, the brunette.
Oh, that's a good one.
I thought she could do it.
She'd also be good.
But if you want someone with a little bit of attitude yelling at a serial killer and trying to egg them on, you got to put Amy Schumer in that pit.
Oh, yes. That'd be hilarious.
Amy Schumer is almost as old as her mom.
You always get at me on the age. Just leave me alone on the age.
We gotta. Age comes into play with some of these characters, but all right. Okay, I will kick off because I have one person, and then let's just do shout out your wild card, whoever you want to add in. I'm doing my guy Charles Napier, Lieutenant Boyle.
Yep.
I think the winner is John C. McGinley. I think he's definitely that guy. Could be Michael Rooker. He's too old, but fine. Or stunt casting for our purposes would be Charlie Day.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And that's my only other extra character. You guys may have more than that.
So for Lieutenant Boyle, I have no stunt casting. I have Lawrence Fishburne, Russell Crowe, and then my number 1 is Sean Penn.
Sean Penn. Sean Penn in a super supporting role.
Yeah.
Wow.
For this movie.
I thought Donnie Wahlberg could get hit in the head with a nightstick.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
So, Rob,
but then the cut, angry, built J.K. Simmons.
I had him on my list, and I crossed him out because of age.
Yeah, but then I saw the picture where he was cut, and I'm like, that could be him. But then I settled, of course, on the ultimate cop, Kevin James.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
We are spending millions and millions of dollars to cast the smallest possible
I also
part.
like to think that these people would be willing to do the part for free.
Yeah, come on. They're in the remake of Silence of the Lambs. Are you kidding me?
Uh-huh.
All right, so
Any other randoms you guys have?
Yes, I do have a random. And that is
I thought about Barney, but I didn't do him.
Noble Pilcher, that's the character's name. You will know him as the guy hitting on Clarice.
The cross-eyed guy?
The cross-eyed guy. And that is Charlie Day.
Well, first of all, that is Charlie Day. Second of all, I forgot that because Clarice is an orphan, she had no one to invite to her special agent naming. I don't know what you call that. And she invited those two douchebags.
That was my Charlie Day.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, yeah, definitely. I don't have a casting for these two, but I gotta give a round of applause to the. I don't know if they're a father-son duo or just two dudes, but whomever those two guys are that are running that funeral home that they all fly to with the.
Oh yeah.
When they do the autopsy,
they're doing autopsies. They're playing the organ.
That is a family business. It is tightly run. It is very, very efficient. But those two guys, I was trying to look up their names, but I couldn't find them. But they are my favorite characters now.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that older guy looked like he would have been played by Walter Matthau. Like it was kind of the same.
Walter Matthau, wow.
Kind of older, jowly.
All right. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh, no.
Memorable scenes and quotable lines.
Oh, wait.
Is she a great big fat person?
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
That's it. So, Alton and I were talking. We had to. I don't know if we stopped the movie during the movie or not. Like if we paused it to talk. I don't care how much effort and emphasis you put into this quote when you're doing it yourself. As over the top as you would want to go. Whatever you want to do. I don't care how many blood vessels you break in your eyeballs trying to do something crazy. No matter what you do, you can't approach what is being done in that movie. He is so out of control with his voice.
It's so good.
I don't know what Ted Levine is doing.
So when Brendan was texting me to get set up, I hit the voice recording for the response, and I did the she a great big fat person, and Beckett was right behind me, and I hit the text message, and he came running into the room and said, "Mom, Dad just said," and he nailed it. It was the best. It was the best.
I did.
You're raising them right.
Yeah, that's right.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that's good. Of course, put the lotion in the basket.
Put the lotion in the basket. I'd fuck me. That's a good one.
The liver and, fava beans and nice Chianti, of course.
Lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yeah.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and nice Chianti.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
A sneaky
Apparently
one?
that when he kind of sucks in was a improvised thing by Hopkins.
I'm sure. A sneaky one that maybe goes to either my age at the time or my lack of knowledge at the time. It was the first time I ever heard the term quid pro quo. I mean, that's kind of a quote.
Yeah. It's funny. Now we've all heard it. But.
Exactly. Well, tell Clarice, have the lamb stop screaming. That's one. And then one that we always focus on, you specifically, but we focus on is at the end, the very end, Dr. Lecter.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Lecter. On the telephone when she's trying to get Lecter back on. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter.
I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter.
By the way, I was really distracted by how big the cake was at that ceremony and how big the slice
and it was that was a very long slice. It was like a foot long. It was like you're at County Stadium. You're like, give me a foot long. I'm like, what
like deep dish
plate are they putting that on?
Way bigger than should be on any plate.
Yeah, that triangle slice couldn't fit on a plate.
And it was like such a tight angle. I mean, it might have gotten to 15 degrees, but it was very, it's very, I noticed that as well.
Very distracting to me. They would not have been able to serve everybody at that party with that same size piece.
82 pounds of cake left after that slice.
Oh my God, that's funny. Because it was just an incredibly narrow, but incredibly long slice of cake.
You know where that cake would feel right at home? In that fucking basement pit.
Right.
So many rooms, so many square footage, and such a giant cake.
Well, I don't even remember now what we're random. What are we on? Random references?
Quotes and memorable scenes. There's the going around the corner.
Well, there are a couple of things that earlier on. First of all, this movie is the last big movie involving sort of crime drama with old-timey guns. They
6-shooters?
Yeah, they had 6-shooters. They had revolvers. They didn't have Glocks. They didn't have knives. They had like old-timey guns. Everyone's all flipping around. And then even Clarice in the dark where she's like, all shaky with her like and but
by the way, speaking of that shakiness, I was a bit surprised to see that at one point, only because she had gone through all of that training. I would have expected her to be a little bit more.
I feel like it undermined that whole idea that she was like this dedicated student.
Yeah.
But first time she ever drew her gun in anger. Right?
Or under threat.
I get it.
Whatever. But she couldn't even get it out of the holster. That's another thing I wanted to say. It was like clumsy in the front. But
that's true.
The
coat throws you off.
All the fucking blousy, oversized shit.
Yes, there's the big military jacket or whatever shit on. But it was also that weird that oh shoot, lost my train of thought. Like that I don't remember. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Well, memorable scene. I feel like it didn't get its due. Is Jame Gumb dropping the business cards and going around the corner.
It's so visual. I don't know how
you can't. I know, but I feel like all of us at one point or another have left the room doing that exact thing.
I think the question is Ted Levine like double jointed in his hips and his shoulders?
But it's not as dramatic as you remember it to be.
But it's it's not what we make it out to be. But
I do believe he's clearing a 21-foot pole vault when he does it. But
I think he removed 2 or 3 ribs on that side to get through that door.
It's so great.
He moves around that thing.
Good.
It's as if the door jamb is made of fire, and he just doesn't want to get touched by it. He's looking out of control.
So, do we also want to talk about the doorbell that's going on in that basement? And in
general, can we talk about like
doorbell down there?
I'm telling you, she is.
Because who's got a doorbell anymore where you could, even 30 years ago, where you hold it and it keeps ringing?
Well, and the ring downstairs the giant school bells or the big bells from a fucking firehouse, and there's
has
lightning
that
involved.
Jacob's ladder kind of light.
It's the
Jacob 1.21 gigawatts.
It's the doorbell of like a 1930s Frankenstein movie. Yeah.
In general, in the last, so I watched the movie, and it's obviously like
clearly a fire hazard too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, the insulation could go up at any second when you have those massive lightning bolts transversing.
Come on.
But the last 10 minutes in general, obviously amazing, tension filled and whatever else. It's really good end to a movie and kind of a big part of this movie. But I do feel like Jonathan Demme sort of like messed with us. Like, there's one thing like where maybe in a Hitchcock film, you didn't pick up on something and there was the big twist in the end. And you're like, oh, silly me. I didn't remember that. But then there's a thing like this where he's like intentionally confusing you. Like you didn't know whether Calumet City was it or, back in Belvedere, Ohio. And then you're like supposed to feel dumb because you didn't know that it was happening. Like
they don't talk about the connections and why they ended up in Calumet versus Belvedere, Ohio. And I mean, not that you can in this movie, but I didn't read the book, but I've read enough background to all this is explained in the book. And
it is
there and all that stuff, and none of that's explained. It doesn't have to be. This movie works perfectly fine without it, but it's. If you think about it for more than 5 minutes, there's a lot of holes there, a lot of questions.
Yeah, I feel like all of them eventually, when it gets explained why it was wrong, and okay, this is the connection back. I get them all except for the Calumet City one.
Yeah.
Like I until last night, I'm like, what happened?
Even when I was watching it, I jotted a note down that said there needs to be one more conversation between Jack and Clarice here. Like something needs to be. They tried to do it in that quick phone call from the airplane, but it wasn't clear. It didn't make sense.
Yeah,
when she said it's only 400 miles away, like she was going to drive there in 2 hours.
That's one thing. I'm like, oh, it's only 400 miles away. I'll be there in 5.5 hours. Great. But yeah. You can solve all that with an extra line or two in that phone call, and it's easy. But all right, fine, pacing. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Any other scenes or quotes you want to mention before we move on?
I will say
or do we want to go back to wait?
Well, there's always that, but I will say that the scene, the first time I saw it. The scene of when she opens the closet door and sees the dress or whatever with the diamonds was very alarming. Yeah. Like, I just remember being so creeped out by that idea. And that's how she knew what was happening, that he was making, a woman's suit, kind of thing out of real women and all that stuff. But those diamonds in particular. And then I tried to actually think about what pattern and shape of a dress would require 2 diamonds like that. I couldn't quite figure it out, but that's more of a secondary reaction.
It is interesting too that so you saw that Frederica Bimmel was into tailoring,
right?
But how did Jame Gumb know about that? What was he doing there?
I guess they were friends.
No,
neighbors.
So, and I'll get the specifics wrong, but it's something like, and this is in the book. I didn't read the whole thing, but after he killed his grandparents when he was 12, he was put into like an insane asylum or a prison of some sort, psychological situation there, where there was like vocational studies, and he studied to be a tailor in this insane asylum, or just after this insane asylum. So he knew he was going to be a tailor, so he knew all these patterns and was really involved in that, and then didn't do that and went into something else, obviously. But
serial killing,
different profession.
That's how he got all that knowledge is from learning stuff inside of this institution. It wasn't, he didn't learn it from Frederica, where you might think that in the movie.
But why did he weight her down then? Because that was the whole part in the movie that they implied that he knew her, and Clarice even says that.
Right. Who knows?
I guess that's why I thought it was a known thing, or I don't know. Maybe he had a tailor shop, or he worked somewhere or something like that. But the diamonds definitely creeped me out the first time I saw it.
Oh wait.
The hitting on Clarice by the cross-eyed guy was always such a weird scene for me.
It's so funny. It's funny because she's kind of smiling at it, knowing how ridiculous it is. Yeah.
Are you hitting on me? Yes.
Yeah. That guy's a serial killer. Yeah. That guy, take him into custody right now, because he's got a question.
The yes is so fast and so short.
I know.
Yes. Yes.
The other thing was that there were a couple. There were a couple of interesting cameos, or spot parts. So remember when? Well, one that I thought was interesting was that when Clarice was being dragged out of the new cell in Tennessee from interrogating Hannibal, and then she runs back to get the case file, and then and in the background, one of the people trying to get her out of there is George Romero, who writer and director of Night of the Living Dead and other cannibalistic movies. So he had a little spot. What's that?
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
I think you both appreciate this. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes here, Nash. So in that Tennessee place set where Lecter's in the cage or whatever, and after he kills the guys and they're taking out the body with it turns out to be Lecter with the whatever. One of the guys taking him out on the stretcher, Steve Dahl's own Buzz Killman.
Yes. So Buzz, I do that too.
Sorry, Steve or Rob. Sorry, Steve. Sorry. Steve.
Yeah. No, Buzz, I guess, grew up with Jonathan Demme down in Florida, so they had known each other from when they were young. And then Ted Talley's one of the cops that is at the theater, which I think is interesting when they're all looking at the elevator. They're like, "It's coming down." And then Chris
do we know
Isaac.
who the cop is with the thin, extra long mustache?
No, but Chris Isaac. Chris Isaac is one of the other SWAT team members too, the musician. So is it like a little who's who in there?
Yeah, they're all friends of Demme, right?
Yeah. Well, Jonathan Demme's done so many. He did Stop Making Sense and a couple other music documentaries. So he's into music too.
He did a bunch of music videos and stuff too. I mean, besides documentaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another line that I remember was popular at the time. I felt it was a bit hokey, but people still talk about it, is "Love the suit."
Yeah, love the suit.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah, love the suit.
Yeah, I don't know where that. It's kind of came out of left field.
It was a little hokier than he would normally be.
Right.
But it seemed right for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
All right. Would this movie work today? I think easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm sure it'd be creepier, but yes.
Yeah. So what would you want to see in a sequel? That already exists, so we've seen it. We've talked about this a little bit. There is this new series coming out, if it hasn't come out already, on CBS called Clarice. And it's a prequel of sorts, right? I don't get it, because when we see her in this movie,
is this like her high school years or what?
She's like a rookie FBI
Clarice,
agent.
the high school years.
Before this, she was a runaway with a lamb. There's no story there. There's no. She didn't do anything interesting. The interesting part is Lecter before all of this.
Well, and the movie does.
Jame Gumb.
We were talking about this last night. That more of the beginning of the movie is about her still in training than I remembered.
Yeah, she's like a rookie. She's still in school. She's not even like graduated yet, or whatever that means for the FBI. I don't know what this show is supposed to be about. I don't know why we're following Clarice's come up as a high school kid.
Yeah, I feel like the prequel is more like you could do a whole Jame Gumb prequel.
Well, and they did the Hannibal prequel, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole deal there with Jame Gumb, and I mean, like, he killed his grandparents, was in an institution, and how he knew the what's his face, the guy's head in the jar, and that whole backstory.
There's also like a DIY show of a basement.
DIY.
I want to see a
I couldn't even get it out without that.
DIY. Okay. What are we trying to do here? He's like, well, I need a series of pits, each on a different horizontal and vertical plane.
Tommy Silva, get in there.
The walls only need to be made out of plywood. That's all I need.
I need movable brick walls that are on tracks that I control.
I'm going to show you how to do a dovetail joint on a...
I need places for hot kettles. I need places for hot kettles of oil to be poured on invaders.
Let's get our HVAC guy in here to show us how to ventilate the
tanning room.
The bathroom with the decomposing body in the bathtub. The HVAC guy.
Yeah. Next week.
How smelly would that basement be?
Oh man, that'd be a great this old house. You know, next week. Next week we finally tackle the pit.
The homeowner wants us to turn this pit into a gazebo.
And some people want to mark it as a timeless memorial for those killed and dismembered.
All right. All right. It's time.
You want your grout to not. Sorry.
The end. It's time for the how much are they worth?
No.
And now, let's play the how much are they worth game.
Now, I have an audible to call. So I had my guy, Charles Napier, on here.
Yeah, no.
He is not on the...
Yes. I can't believe that.
So we can put in Jonathan Demme for his estate, or we got to put somebody in the fifth spot. We got to have 5. We can't have 4. I got Ted Levine, Scott Glenn, Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster. I'm thinking Jonathan Demme is the other one.
Okay.
John Demme. Okay. Oh, got to get the computer over here. First one up to bat is Ted Levine.
This poor fucking guy.
Don't call me Jame Gumb.
I mean, you just like work your ass off and really bring a lot of thought and creativity to it, and it just dampens your entire career.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know, it's terrible. I mean, he's come back because he's got the series down, right?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's. I remember him specifically in the Will Smith version of Wild Wild West.
Yes. Yes.
That's terrible. Oh, Teddy Levine.
Yeah, he's had that recent series on USA, right? Played a cop in a lot of movies.
Yeah, he did a lot of cop
Heat?
stuff. Yeah, totally was in Heat.
Yeah, he was in Heat. You mean Heat?
Heat. Well, for Heat, everyone I'm sure made $100 million on Heat.
Yes. Probably. All right, I got a number.
I have a number.
Working actor for a long time. I have a number and I don't like it. Rob Nash, go first.
$11 million.
I had 13.
I have 10.
Damn. I don't like it when we're all together. Tedward Levine, is an American actor with a net worth of $6 million. Al wins it.
Yay.
Teddy. Okay. Let's jump into Jonathan Demme. Jonathan Demme. There he is. Okay.
Hang on, let me.
He did this movie, so we know that.
Wait, I keep dropping it. You know, he had Married to the Mom. You know, he's made movies for a long time. I mean, obviously,
Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia, The Manchurian Candidate, the remake.
He did, Stop Making Sense. He went on a whole documentary deal where he really got some awards for that too. So I don't know how lucrative. He was going to do Stephen King's 11/22/63.
Oh yeah,
and he got in a disagreement with King apparently on that and backed out. So I want to say
he doesn't have more a bunch of big movies after his run in the 90s. I don't understand.
I think he kind of moved away from it, and then he did a documentary on Jimmy Carter. So just kind of went in a different direction. So that's why I'm bringing it down a little bit. I'm going to say 18 million.
I said 24.
I wrote down 8.
I think lower is better. Actually, those documentaries, I don't think they pay very well, but who the hell knows? Well done, Jonathan Demme. Demme was an American filmmaker, writer, and director with who had a net worth of $40 million.
Wow.
I know, I'm shocked.
That's great news for him. That's great news.
His estate. So I won it. I had 24.
Wow.
I was way off. I still won it. Scott Glenn.
Now this.
Talk about a guy who's been working.
That is a long career. A super long career. And some great movies too.
Yeah, huge.
I mean,
All the Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff.
All the Right Stuff's a different movie.
All the Right Moves.
Apocalypse Now, Training Day, Backdraft, The Hunt for Red October.
Well, Hunt for October. I mean,
Born
that
Ultimatum.
alone, you're going to win
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff.
All the Bourne movies.
Oh, the Bourne. Well,
yeah, I mean, this guy pumped out.
Who's who of a lot of
2 movies a year for 40 years.
he has 98 credits as an actor.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't even kidding. I said 80. He's done 98.
In our series Castle Rock that we watched on Hulu. Hell.
I got a number. I mean, if Jonathan Demme's 40 million.
Don't say it yet. I don't even know what to make of this guy.
All right, I got a number.
I don't yet. My question is, was he ever the lead dog in a movie? I don't think so. He's just supporting actor galore.
I'm going to think he's a good investor.
I'm going to assume he hasn't been divorced a bunch of times either.
It's always the kicker.
Okay, I have a number. Al, what's your number?
55.
Oh my God, really?
What's your number, Rob?
That's ridiculous, Al.
Why?
What's your number?
27.
I had him at 41. Oh.
Wow.
We, percentage-wise, this is one of our bigger misses.
Oh, God.
Yeah. This is not Scorsese or anything. This is not like missing by a billion. But percentage-wise, this is pretty out there. Our lowest was 27. Okay. Scott Glenn is an American actor who has a net worth of, and I don't believe this, $4 million.
Is he a gambling problem? Like, what's happening there?
I think my dad might have.
What?
What? I mean, is there like an asterisk, like right underneath? It's like he has a massive gambling and/or chemical addiction problem.
They list like his the things he's best known for, and then it's like a who's who of great movies.
If I could claim a major motion picture credit every year from 1970 to 2020, there's no way I'm worth $4 million.
The only ones that they list, this is a smattering, it's just a tip of the iceberg. They list Urban Cowboy, The Right Stuff, Silverado, The Hunt for Red October, The Silence of the Lambs, Training Day, The Bourne Ultimatum, and Sucker Punch. $4 million? Who's stealing from this guy?
He's only been married once, too. So
yeah,
it's not.
That's not right. No, that's not right. It's not right.
He's reporting $4 million. The rest is in the Cayman Islands somewhere, accruing interest.
Yeah, that's terrible. There's no way it's true.
We haven't missed that bad in a long time. That's horrendous. Scott Glenn.
His agent is not a very good negotiator.
You should put him in touch with somebody.
He also owns a majority stake of Amazon. So
that's really Castle. He's in Castle Rock.
He's in everything.
Everything. What?
Everything you've ever seen, he has appeared in. The end. Okay.
If he got paid $100 an hour, he'd be worth more than $4 million.
No.
Oh my God.
I know. Unless he invested in the Fire Festival, I think worth a lot more than that. All right, let's do.
That is mind-boggling.
Anthony Aloysius Hopkins.
Anthony.
You know, the funny thing, I don't know if you guys saw that he was never, he was consistently working in Hollywood, but apparently kind of frustrated and wanted to be a bigger star, and he thought this was like maybe his last shot. And he was a huge like stage actor in London, but
Silence of the Lambs was his last shot?
Yeah.
He wanted to like use it as, I mean, he loved the script. Like he did apparently said yes right away, but he also said, well, this is the, Jonathan Demme and big studio. And like, this is my last chance to like break through. And then he got nominated, 3 more times after it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. His career is better after this than it was before.
Oh, by order of magnitude, right? I mean, it was.
Except for the Elephant Man. Come on.
I am not an animal.
Hang on, I gotta think of a number here for Tony Hopkins.
I mean, he's in so many things now.
He's worked for 87 years.
Yeah, he's like Liam Neeson. I mean, Liam Neeson should be the wealthiest man on earth, right?
In the last 15 years, for sure. He works more than Nick Cage. Okay, Hopkins. All right, so if Scott Glenn, let's do the math. If Scott Glenn's worth $4 million,
yeah,
Hopkins worth at least $8. Good God, I don't know.
Oh man, it's gonna be hard. All right, I got one.
I have a number. Okay. You have a number?
I have a number.
My number is, and I don't feel strong about it. This is kind of a stab in the dark. 50 million.
Whoa.
An even 50. Yeah, I know. Al?
I got 120.
I know.
What?
Boy.
What?
He's been in the Thor movies.
Oh, I forgot the freaking Thor movies.
Who knows?
I wrote it down.
Remains of the Day.
What's the one with Brad Pitt? Meet Joe Black?
Meet Joe Black.
Oh, God damn it.
Legends of the Fall.
I said 38.
38. Thank God.
I might be in trouble.
I'm glad I'm not the lowest. I thought I was going to be the lowest. Okay. Sir Anthony Hopkins is a Welsh actor of film, stage, and television, as well as a composer. Westworld! Damn it.
Oh, Westworld.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. As a net worth of 160 million.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, by the way, the 4 million is Rob won that one. He's close to that.
Yeah.
You won the Scott Glenn. You win the Anthony Hopkins. 160. Wow. Knew I was low, but damn it. All right. Allison has 2. I have 1. Rob has 1. Going into the final countdown here with Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster. Let's look at her IMDb. She's no fucking joke either. She does a lot of directing and producing, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, Hopkins.
Joe Dizzle Foster. Oh, my God. Forget about the acting for a second.
She's in Contact.
She is in Contact.
I am okay to go.
No, Maverick.
I'm okay to go.
Okay to go. Directed Orange is the New Black. A couple episodes. House of Cards. Money Monster is a movie. Black Mirror. Tales from the Loop. But she did... I'm thinking of producer, maybe. She did other stuff, too. Producer. The Brave One, The Walking Dead, Home for the Holidays, Nell. Oh, Nell.
I know.
Well, yeah, I got a number. It's a weird number, though.
A weird number. I don't have a number yet.
Look at the number.
Yep, I have a number. All right, Rob, you start.
It's a crazy number.
I bet it's not that crazy.
178 million.
Mm.
You said 178?
Yep.
What do I have down for me?
Oh my God. He has 178.
178 exactly.
Get out.
I have 175.
Get out of here.
I wrote down 178.
I wrote it down too. I was
before you said it. And I showed out. Okay. Oh. Jodie Foster has a net worth of $100 million. Allison, prices right at us right out of that.
Wow. And that is too bad. She should be
higher
than that.
I mean, again, these are all from the website, so who knows?
Yeah.
But so Allison wins 3-1 to 1.
Damn it.
Let's give snaps.
Snippity snap.
It's because of my Post-its, Robbie.
Post-its rule the day. Boy. All right, closing thoughts. Anyone on this fucking...
Well, I think that you can't overemphasize how big a deal the movie was. And then, even though I didn't think any of the prequels or sequels were that compelling, the pure value of the franchise is huge. It was like a big scoring series for the studio.
Yeah, the movies all did well. You know, prequels, sequels, whatever. They weren't all that great, but I think they did well enough. And then they're doing this series now. I mean, that may kickstart a new, branch of Netflix or a new run on whatever. So
yeah. The only other thing and I commented on it last night, and it's a character I wish I would have recast, is the Monopoly guy that was the storage place owner. It's such an odd character.
We need a spin-off, Al, of him with the two funeral home folks.
Right.
Storage guy and funeral home guy.
Oh my God. It's so strange.
My driver detests physical labor.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, he's got a driver.
He's got an ornery driver that just is.
I imagine his driver is like a giant mute. Like he's like a brute mute.
Yeah.
Like a big guy, doesn't say anything. Maybe he has his tongue cut out in like a bar fight or something. Yeah. And the little guy is like Svengali of some sort.
Yeah. It's such an odd character.
I think that could be played by Nash in the reboot.
No, I mean, just in general, everything's great about the movie. And the fact that we could talk this much about it 30 years later.
I think it holds up completely,
Yeah.
Despite Nash's hatred of the title fonts, the opening credit fonts.
And the old-timey guns with the shake hand.
Old-timey guns. Throw in a Glock, and I think this thing works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, cell phones, complicated, but who cares? I think it'd be...
I don't think cell phones complicated at all.
But
they would lessen the amount of paper being exchanged, which was definitely something we were talking about.
We did discuss that too.
Is that the case file? Let me see that case file.
Right.
And there's a big slam on the...
Slam of a phone book worth of material. When Crawford hands over the case file to Clarice for the first time, I had to pause the movie. I'm like, what would they give her today? Would it be like a link to an encrypted site with the information? Like, how would they transfer all that? Because he gave her 120 pages worth of research to go through. How would that happen today?
She was absolutely delighted to dive in, but
a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. They still would have had to just give him paper, though. No devices.
It'd be that, instead of that huge cathode ray tube TV that's showing the Baptist preacher or whatever. Right? Big, nice flat screen that would connect to a laptop somewhere. Yeah, got all kinds of stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. All right, Rob, that's it. That's all there is.
That's all I got. Nothing.
Done and done.